Hello everyone, it's Jerry Caudell, the Yankee Creek Stitcher, and I'm back for my 2020 WIP Parade. It is Saturday, January 2nd of 2021. I hope everyone had a great New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. Everyone's hopefully safe and healthy and excited about getting this new year started. I know I am. I'm excited to share all my WIPs with you and have some exciting starts for 2021 that I'll be sharing in another Flosstube later on. But I figured the easiest quickest way to update you on what I have been stitching on since my last Flosstube in March of 2020 would just simply to do a WIP parade. And so you'll see everything I've worked on since March and my starts. And so that's what's going to be carried over into 2021. Last year I had 54 WIPs from 2019 that I carried over into 2020. I had 13 finishes from 2019, 4 that I had started in 2018. And then in 2020, I had 5 starts that I also finished in 2020. So I'm carrying over 52 WIPs into 2021. It's 2 less, but hey, I'm working on it. I've been focusing on trying to finish my oldest WIPs. And they're bigger charts, so you know, I'm slowly hammering away at them, so I'm getting there. So we'll just start this off with, I'm going to go in chronological order from when I started them. So, first off, in 2018, it was, like I said, I didn't have a specific start date. It's just 2018, so it's probably around October time frame is when I first started getting back into cross stitch. And we are starting off with Prairie Schoolers, Christmas Village, and obviously before I knew all about Flosstube and everything, I had highlighted on my actual charts. So this one's been through the ringer, but that's okay. I have stitched this on, I believe this is 18 count Ada that I tea coffee dyed. I was going to go through and screenshot from last year's WIP parade where I was. I have worked on this year, not a ton. You can actually, I still have my needle in there, but it's progress nonetheless. I know I've stitched a lot down in here. So, yeah, so this currently is my oldest WIP. It stitches up, you know, fairly easily. It's just, you know, staying focused on it and getting it done. I'm not giving up on it. But last year I did my WIP parade as a stitch or ditch format. So I'm going to do that again this year. This one I'm keeping. It will be stitched. Next up is Splendor of Autumn. It was a magazine chart. It is by Saving Grace's Fine Needle Arts. It was in just Cross Stitch Magazine, October of 2016. And I only have a black and white printout of it, but it is gorgeous fall colors in the leaves, a white pumpkin, an orange pumpkin. It's very pretty. Last year I was not happy with the fabric I had chose to stitch this on initially, so I ditched where I was, the progress I had made on it, and I have restarted it. I restarted it and I'm stitching it on guess I didn't make note of what I changed it to. Well, anyway, I did restart it, but I believe it's a 28 or 32 count. But I had, where I had started previously was at the top working on the leaves, and I started here at the bottom. Not a lot, but it is a restart, so progress is progress. So that's all I have for now on that one. Can't believe I did not make notes on what I restarted that on. But I didn't. But I do enjoy stitching on it much more. Next up we have Bless Our Home by Country Cottage Needleworks. This is also 2018. And I think last year I can't remember if I officially ditched it, but I think after my Flosstube I was like, no, I'm going to keep it. I'm almost done with it. I'm not real happy with the fabric. It's a 28 count even weave that I think I had gotten this from Hobby Lobby that I tea coffee dyed. So I know I did stitch on it a little bit this year, not a lot, but it's far enough along that, you know, I'm just with the fence, and I believe there's a dog and birds. Yeah, I don't think I even should do the chart. Bless Our Home. So yeah, I gotta add the flowers, the dog, and some fence, and I don't think I'm gonna put that top border on there. Actually, I think I had already stitched it and actually pulled it out. So I'm not doing the top border, but I will put the Bless the Home down here. And then we'll be done with it. And it'll probably just be framed. And it's so close to being done, I just need to focus on it for a week and be done with it. Next up we have, love this one, Halloween Quaker from Lila's Studio. And again, this is from 2018. I don't have a specific date on it. Love this chart. I am stitching it on the murky fabric, 36 count, I believe. I think last year I hadn't finished this motif here, so that's been finished. The hat, the next motif down, trees. So I've made progress, and I really enjoy stitching on it, but it's a, you know, a huge chart, so. But I am, and I'll go into more detail in my next Flosstube. I am doing WIP Go. I didn't officially join WIP Go. I'm just kind of doing it on my own. So I've picked out some of my older charts, and this is one that is on my WIP Go board. So hopefully can make some progress and aim for a finish. So yeah, that will be stitched as well. Next up we have Northwoods from Ink Circles. Again, another 2018 start. I think this is so cool. We're a family of hunters, so I really love this chart. I am stitching this on 40 count Confederate Gray from Weeks. That's all the progress I've made. I did stitch on this a bit this year because I think I'd only had like that top line and this motif here. So I've stitched all of this year. But yeah, I love the chart. I'm definitely going to be stitching it. I just need to get focused on it. Next up, this is Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow from Carriage House Samplings. This was started October 6th of 2018. I have stitched this on 36 count parchment, I believe. Yes, 36 count parchment. I'm using all the called for DMCs. I had the top border done and some of the house in last year's WIP Parade. So I have, finished the roof, and I've finished the red bricks in the house, and you can see where I've stitched the yellowish parts of the brick about halfway through. So I still have all of this for the yellow and fill in the green down there. So I'm close to finishing this block, and plus the words go up here. So I don't think I showed you the chart. This is the chart. Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow. Huge chart, of course, but I am making this my weekend focus piece for the year. So my weekends will be dedicated on stitching on this so I can make some really good progress on this chart this year. Don't know that it will actually get finished, but I'm wanting to at least knock out a few of those blocks. I enjoy stitching on it. It's just, with 50 other WIPs, you get distracted with other stuff you want to stitch on as well. But like I said, my focus and late last year was to start focusing on my oldest WIPs and get these knocked out. So yeah, that will be stitched. Next up, we have December by the Prairie Schooler. I eventually want to stitch everything with this chart, even the small one. I'm currently working on the larger one. I haven't made a lot of progress. I'm stitching it on 36 count macchiato from Luminous Fiber Arts. I like this chart. I think I've knocked out some of my older, I focused on some of my older pieces in 2018. So I'm getting there. Let's see, when did I start this? December 4th of 2018. I did Flossmas that year, and this was one of my Flossmas starts. So I've stitched on the words and the cardinals down here. So it's getting there to be one of my focus pieces. So until then, it'll hang out in its project bag, patiently waiting. Next up, we have Home for Christmas from Needle Treasures. This is another Flossmas start from 2018. It was December 10th of 2018. I bought this as a kit. Needle Treasures. Oh, I think that's so pretty. It says, I'm coming home for Christmas, light the candles on the tree, dust the picture albums, and set a place for me. Put the cinnamon in the cider and the oysters in the stew. I need to share my sweetest memories there at home with you. I don't know why that always chokes me up to read this, but I just love it. It's what was so hard about Christmas this year. Like I mentioned before, we have 6 Christmases, and it's big groups of family, most of them, and I miss that so much this year. It's not doing all the gift exchanges and everything. I just love getting together that time of year and just spending that time with family. And a lot of the people we don't even see but once a year at Christmas time. And so it's just been, it was really sad. Like I said, we got together with, you know, the five of us for our one little Christmas, and, you know, it was great, but you just miss that big fun Christmas time with the big group of family and all the little kids running around and having fun. And, you know, we played cards, and I just really miss that. Anyway, I did stitch on this a bit this year. I am stitching this on, I believe this is either a 28 or 32 count even weave that I'm sure I got from Hobby Lobby. But all I had done from last year was just kind of the first few top lines stitched. So I've stitched the tree and these trees and further down into the background. It's being stitched 2 over 2, and I really don't like stitching 2 over 2. Luckily it's not too awfully bulky that I'm able to keep going on it. So this will definitely be stitched. Next we have Santas and Snowmen from Prairie Schooler. And I think I kind of well, I started this January 7th of 2019. And I kind of waffled on, do I want to keep going on this? Because I haven't stitched on it at all, and I'm probably going to just change what I actually had been stitching. It's the 28 count even weave that IT and Coffee dyed, and I hadn't stitched on it at all. But I guess this is, I'm not even sure what this is. If it was a hat, or I guess I should show you the chart. Sorry. Let's see here. I've stitched this one, so I think I had moved to this. So I don't know if that's the top of the cardinal there. I don't know. So, and I think I just said last year in my WIP Parade, you know, I'm going to stitch them, but I'm not happy with the fabric. And until I get to the point that I want to focus on that, it's just going to sit here in a little project bag. So it will be stitched eventually. Next we have 1989 Santa from the Prairie Schooler. I started this one January 20th of 2019. And if you've been following me long, that was one of my goals, is to get these Prairie Schooler Santas stitched, because I wanted a Prairie Schooler Santa decorated tree like Vonna has. She has her trees covered with it, and I absolutely love it, but I have not focused on this. And it's probably because of how I decided to stitch this initial one that I've not gotten much done. I think I did stitch on this some this year. I'm stitching it 1 over 1 on, it's an even weave, and I think it's one that I got from Hobby Lobby. So yeah, that's 1 over 1 stitching, which it's turning out good, but it's, like I said, I don't like stitching where it's bulky. And, you know, it's pretty thick. But I think it's just so cool where it's 1 over 1 and so tiny. So I'm not giving up on this piece, and I need to get focused to get these knocked out, because I really want them on my tree. Next up, we have Miss Baxter's house. And I need to find the chart. Oh, here it is. Last night I was going through and pulling all my WIPs together and getting them in order. And I focused on, I think I was doing a monogamous mania last year because I wanted to get Miss Baxter's house done. And so I was getting all my WIPs together last night and I could not find her. She was not in her project bag. I had the chart, but I didn't have my piece of linen and my floss. I'm like, what on earth? So I literally I have a couple different stitchy spots and a couple different baskets that I have my WIP stored in. I guess I was quickly trying to clean my bedroom for my stitchy spot there, and I had stuck it into a round cloth basket, and it was down in the bottom. I'm like, why did I not just stick that back? I was like, it's like, I told my husband, like, how do you do that? How do you lose cross stitch fabric? Anyway, I love this chart, and I wanted to knock it out last year, but it didn't happen. I did make a lot of progress, but I did not get it finished. Cynthia Brew, she was stitching like a mad woman on it, and she got hers done. So she was inspiring me to get this knocked out, but I didn't get it all the way done. I did, for as long as I stitched on it, it's like, oh my gosh, that doesn't look like I made much progress. But I think all I had done in last year's WIP Parade was this top border and probably a little bit top of the roof. So I've finished the chimney, the flowers here, the house, Miss Baxter, got her in there at least. I shared this on Instagram and said, Miss Baxter's finally showed up and just told the contractor he needs to get moving on building her house. She's not very happy. So yeah, let me see, I started this February 3rd of 2019. So I'm not going to focus on her as much as I did this past year. I have some older ones that I want to get focused on and get knocked out. So she'll get there because I love Stacey Nash's Miss Baxter's series. I have gotten the summer one, the Halloween at Miss Baxter at Punberry Lane. Summer, Halloween. I think I got the Christmas one as well this year. I'm pretty sure, because I want to stitch them all. So they're just a lot of stitching to them. Okay, let's see. Next up, we have Forever and Ever by Brenda Gervais. I did Early Stitch Mania in 2019 instead of a new start every day in May. May, I have a lot of stuff going on. It's warming up outside, and I like starting my outside projects. So I did Early Stitch Mania and did a new start every day in April, just a month early. And this was my first start for Early Stitch Mania, Forever and Ever by Brenda Gervais. I wanted to stitch this for my husband and I. It says, other than the alphabet, in my heart, forever and ever, and that'll have the year of our wedding, 1998. But it's so pretty, and I have really loved stitching on it. I did stitch on it quite a bit this year. I didn't have all the called for, but I converted to whatever I had in hand or in my stash to be as close as possible. So yeah, I've done quite a bit. I just had some of the border done in my last WIP Parade, so got almost the whole bottom border done. And of course worked on the alphabet and the flowers. It actually is stitched up pretty quickly, so it's too low on the totem pole right now to stay focused on it, but I just love it. I think the colors are gorgeous, and I'm really enjoying stitching on it. And stitching on 36 count Legacy. Next up we have Autumn ABCs by Little House Needleworks. I had started it on April 3rd of 2019. And this is the chart. Really cute. If I didn't have the called for, I used as similar as I possibly could find in my stash. This is being stitched on 36 count. Oh, this is from Color and Cotton limited edition when I was in their fabric club. I love this fabric. But this is my progress. I think in my last WIP parade, I think just some of the alphabet. I did do quite a bit of stitching in it. At work, I get 2 15-minute breaks, and on my lunch, I have what I call a car piece, travel piece that I always have with me if I'm having to wait for a doctor's appointment or whatever. I can't just sit and stare at a wall and wait. So I always have a cross stitch with me. So I've actually made a lot of progress on a lot of charts on my breaks and at lunch. So, but yeah, I love the way this is turning out. So it will be stitched. Next we have Quaker Bluebird Sampler from Willow Hill Samplings. I had started this one on April 8th of 2019. And I had mentioned in my last WIP parade, this is the chart. Our fire alarm thing goes off at noon every Saturday. So it's noon here on Saturday. But this is a beautiful chart. And it is being stitched on 36 count Legacy. I had started stitching this, and I had made this decision in my WIP parade from last year. The floss I was using was To All a Good Night from Color and Cotton. But I only had a 1/10, I think it was a 10-yard skein of it. It's a beautiful color, but I don't know if I would have had enough. So I believe I had showed you, I had gotten a really pretty dark blue silk hank. And so I'm going to switch it to stitching it with the silk hank. So I haven't done anything to this since my last WIP parade. I didn't work on it at all this year because I know I'm going to be switching it, and I was focusing on other pieces, so haven't done anything with it. I'm still going to have it stitched. I just have to get it restarted. Next up we have Forever and Ever, and this is from Cottage Garden Samplings. This was started April 9th of 2019. This is the chart. So pretty. There's the autumn one. It says Dream. Amanda May with Artist Designs finished it. It is absolutely stunning. So it will be next up after I finish this one. But I just love those cardinals. Such a gorgeous chart. I have not made any progress whatsoever on this WIP from last year. I'm stitching it on 36 count Picture This Plus pewter with pretty much all I'm using pretty much all the DMC alternates, and I think this is, yeah, I think this is this is the top, because I think I started stitching in the top right. I usually do top left, but changed it up and stitched on top right. So I haven't stitched at all on this, but I am keeping it as a stitch. Then we have Harvest Keeper from Plum Street Samplers. I had started this April 10th of 2019. I love this chart. I just think the colors and her dress and these bee scabs are just gorgeous. Love, love, love this chart. I can't wait to get it close to having it be a focus piece, but it's, you know, pretty far down the line right now, but I just love this chart. It's so pretty. The colors are just gorgeous. I am stitching this on 32 count Winter's Brew. And I am stitching it, stitching it 2 over 2. I've not stitched on it at all this year. I'm gonna bet I'm gonna do a restart on this because I literally have, what, a ½ inch border right there. And it's 2 over 2. I don't mind doing on a 32 count 2 over 2 like for an ornament or whatever, but I don't see myself stitching this totally on this fabric. So more than likely this will be a restart on a different piece of fabric, but it will get stitched nonetheless. Next up we have Pink Sparrow Sampler from Brenda Gervais. Oh, this is gorgeous. I started this April 11th of 2019. I love this chart. And somebody, gosh, I've worked so many floss tubes. I'm gonna say Brenda or Laura had mentioned they wanted to start this. I'm leaning towards Brenda, not positive, but somebody had mentioned this, that they're going to be starting it soon. I thought, oh, maybe I can pull it back out and stitch along with them, squeeze it in somehow. But it's just gorgeous. I just love the soft colors. It's so pretty. I have started stitching this on 36 count Legacy. Not a lot of progress, and I have not stitched on it at all since I started it. I think this was, for some reason, I was at that time I was doing the top right starts. But that's all the progress that I had in my last WIP parade, so no stitching has been done on it. I love the fabric, so it's definitely going to be stitched. It doesn't have to be restarted for any reason, so again, it will just patiently wait for me to get to it. I'm going to get me a sip real quick. Next up we have, yes, Trick or Treat Pumpkin from the Primitive Hair. I started this April 12th of 2019. I did stitch on this quite a bit this year because I thought, just, you know, stay focused on it and knock it out. Oh my gosh, so much stitching. So much stitching. Trick or Treat Pumpkin from the Primitive Hair. Oh, I just love that jack-o'-lantern and that hat. It's so freaking cool. I love it. And another thing that's so great about that is the fabric that was stitched on. And I found fabric from XG Designs. It's 36 count Grandpa sleeve. And it's so similar to that fabric. It's really cool. So I think from my last WIP parade, I had the border, because I don't think I've done much more to the border this year, and the hat, like the top of the hat. So this year I got almost all of the hat stitched, but I wanted to get into stitching some of that pumpkin, so I jumped down to the pumpkin before I finished the hat. Got his face in there. I think I'm totally done with this face. But yeah, love this. Absolutely love it. But yeah, look at all those stitches. Oh, there's so many stitches in this. But yeah, that fabric is so cool. I really love this piece. Again, it's a good travel piece because, you know, it's just fill in, especially on that hat. And I've went around and done the dark orange, because then you just fill in with the lighter orange. So it's a good travel piece, mindless stitching piece. So hopefully this will get knocked out. It's kind of low on the totem pole, but I think it was Dina with half stitch cross stitch. She's a finishing fool. It's like she said, I think it was a Flosstube or two ago, she said, you know, once you get so close to getting this finished, it's like you're on a mission. You just want to get it finished. And I totally get it, because there's actually quite a bit left to that, but it's like, oh, stay focused on it and get it done. Every stitch is one stitch closer, right? Next we have Beggars Night, and this is from Threadwork Primitives. I started this April 13th of 2019. This is an awesome chart. There's a 4th of July and Christmas. I think I have the Christmas one, but I don't think I have the 4th of July one. This is such a cool chart. I have not stitched on it at all this year. Ooh. Oh no. My floss is stuck in my zipper. Okay, I'm stitching this on 36 count deep pumpkin from Luminous Fiber Arts. The Something Wicked. It was stitched on the deep pumpkin. I couldn't think of the word. I knew there was soft pumpkin, and the darker one is deep pumpkin. Let's see. I think this is just, it's the bottom border or the top border. It's the top border. Because this fabric is just gorgeous. That's a little too white. There we go. That's a good color representation. Such a beautiful orange. And I have not stitched on this at all, so that's still my only progress for this piece. But it's a cool chart. Definitely will be stitched. Next up, we have Rooster and Acorns from Heartstring Sampleries. I started this one, sorry, April 14th of 2019. A huge portion of my WIPs I started in April of 2019. So this is an awesome chart. I am not going to be stitching the words on the top or the bottom. I'm stitching this on 28 count. Picture This Plus Cyprium is the fabric I'm stitching this on. Love, love, love this fabric. And this is another one. It's 28 count, but it's very tightly woven. And I'm stitching 2/2, and so the stitches are really like tight and bulky for me. And of course the floss I'm using is Gassed Cinnamon. And so I've used quite a bit of floss already, and you know, I'm not even a quarter of the way. So I love this fabric. There we go. It's beautiful. So I don't know if I'll continue on stitching stitching this 2/2, or if I can just flip it over here, and I'll test 1/2 and see how the floss covers. I'm not one of those that I'm okay if you can see a little bit of the fabric behind my stitches. So I know Beth Twist herself actually stitches 1/2 on 28 count, and I can definitely see it being totally fine on this tight woven fabric. So I may do that, but it is really pretty. So, you know, when it moves up the ladder on getting to be a focus, I'll make that call then. Next, we have Teal Rooster from Birds of a Feather. I started this April 15th of 2019. Really cool chart, and this is not a good travel chart. Lots of the letters aren't that bad, but then wow, you know, you get into that rooster, it's lots of little confetti stitches. So yeah, you really have to focus when you're stitching this. I'm stitching it on 30 count Weeks Dye Works Chickpea, and it's a beautiful color. The fabric is so pretty. And let's see, I think I'm just using 310. Yeah, I'm just using DMC 310 as my floss. But wow, isn't that, I'm gonna double this up so you can get a true, oh yeah. Isn't that fabric gorgeous? Ugh. I love a beautiful burnt orange, and it is perfection. So that's my progress so far. I've stitched on it a little bit, but not a whole lot, because like I said, you really have to focus on what you're doing. But yeah, we're definitely going to be stitching this. It's just not a focus right now. Next up, we have Babushkas Blossoms from Plum Street. I started this April 17th of 2019. Gotta love a babushka. Yeah, this is a really cool chart. Love the huge pumpkin, and that she had to have a ladder to get on top of it. I think that's such a cool chart. Definitely will be stitched, just not very high on the totem pole right now. Stitching it on 36 count Vintage Country Mocha. And yeah, have not stitched on this at all this year. That's as far as we've gotten. It's as far as I was last time. But definitely will be stitched. Next up, we have Harvest Time from RETM. This was April 18th of 2019. And I love this chart. Harvest Time, cool pumpkins. Stitching it on 32 count cinnamon roll from Silk Weaver. The colors I'm using, it called for, because there's only 2 colors, it called for Gentle Arts, Forest Glade, and Crescent Colors, Fallen Leaves. Of course, Crescent Colors is now Classic Colorworks. The colors I have went with is Color and Cotton Pine Needles is my green, and Color and Cotton Reindeer Treats is my orange. Isn't that cool? I think they're so, that orange reindeer treat is so cool. So this is my work in progress. Now see, this is 32 count and I am stitching this 1/2. So that was to ensure that I was definitely going to have enough floss, because I think that reindeer treat came in, they had a Christmas box that you got, they would send flosses and fabrics and projects type things in there. This is my progress. I don't think I stitched on this at all, but there's the color of the fabric. But yeah, love that orange floss on there, so cool. The variegation's really nice. So yeah, didn't make any progress on it this year or last year. Next up we have Autumn Sampler from Prairie Schooler. This was April 19th of 2019. This has the 3 charts, and this is the one I'm stitching. Oh, I think it was Misty. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Misty Purcell stitched this, because they added the word, she added the words down here to the rest of this. It says, autumn wind is rising and the air is wild with leaves. And I think they said it was part of a poem, I think. But, it is absolutely gorgeous with the floss, you know, and when you actually stitch it. It's beautiful here, but wow, when you actually have stitched it, the colors are just so gorgeous. I have not stitched on it at all this year, so I've not made any further progress. I'm stitching it on 36 count vintage country mocha. And I started at the bottom. So that's all the progress that I have. Yeah, I'm stitching this one over too, so that's all the progress that there is. But I love that chart. It will definitely be stitched. Next up we have Cinnamon Stars from Plum Street. I started this April 20th of 2019. I'm stitching it on 36 count macchiato from Luminous Fiber Arts. So many people have stitched this and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And they have a new chart. I don't remember the name of it, but I'll eventually end up getting it. But it has very similar pattern here with those stars. So it's so cool. Yeah, this is a beautiful chart. But I have not stitched on it at all this year. And like I said, this is 36 count macchiato. So yeah, there's a good representation of the fabric color, and all I had done is the fence so far. So that's all my progress. We got a cute little fence going. That's it. So yeah, this will definitely be stitched. Next up is Quaker Autumn from Bygone Stitches. Started this April 21st of 2019. This is a cool chart. Love this. So cool. Turkeys, squirrels, cats, pumpkins, birds. I'm stitching this on 40 count. 40 count Harvest Moon from Luminous Fiber Arts. Love Misty's fabric. And everyone else does too, because it's very hard to get hold of when she does a release or when she adds them to her shop. They're gone in no time. So 40 count Harvest Moon. I'm not stitched on this year, so that's all of my progress. The floss I am using is Burnt Orange from Gentle Arts. So, yeah, love it. It will get stitched one day. Next up we have Early Americans from Little House Needleworks, April 22nd of 2019. I actually did a restart on this piece, April 22nd of 2020. This is the chart. I don't think I have a picture to show you, because I am stitching it actually on one finished piece. Each chart is a standalone piece that you can make in ornaments, of course, but I am putting it all together. However, when I initially started this, I was using Vanna's border. Oh, good. I actually have it on here. So when I started this initially, that was my start and where I had progressed to in my last WIP parade. But I wasn't really crazy about the border. No offense to Vanna, it's a beautiful border, but I just didn't feel like I really needed it with this. I'm just going to have it the simple border that's around it. So I did restart it April 22nd of 20. There was somebody else stitching this, and I'm not sure who it was, and so they got me fired up. Honestly, I think it was Dina, because she had talked about the windows being evenly spaced on this, and I didn't catch that at the time, but she had mentioned it. So yeah, this is all I have done since I restarted it. So yeah, I'll be stitching it without the border. That is stitched on 36 count pewter. Yeah, it's Betsy Ross, John Hancock, Molly Pitcher, Patrick Henry, I'm trying to read this, Abigail Adams, I'm trying to read it backwards, Paul Revere. This would be the centerpiece, says Freedom. Then we have Nathan Hale, Martha Washington. Look at that house, that's gorgeous. Back to Betsy. So that'll be stitched eventually. The Village Green from Prairie Schooler started April 23rd of 2019. This is the Village Green. And I think Debbie, Creatively Yours, because she's the one that gave me, is what my Stitcher Ditch thing is based on. She did that. And I think she was stitching this. But I think Lori with Mischievous Stitches, maybe. Oh gosh, I can't remember if it was this chart or another one. Anyway, but I think Debbie with Creatively Yours, I think she ended up ditching this. She had some of this stitch and I think she ditched it. But I love this, and I want to stitch all three of them. I'm probably just going to stitch the rooster and hen by itself, not stitch all these chicks. That's insane. I have too much to stitch than stitch 50 little chicks. But anyway, I've started on the middle piece, and I'm definitely going to be eventually stitching that. So I'm stitching this on, well, I think this is one that I made changes on. Or I'm going to make changes too. It's on 36 count limited edition from Color and Cotton. It was part of their Cozy Christmas collection. So I had started it. Oops. Let's see. I had started it, and I think I don't know. I didn't like this border. See, you can hardly see it. So I know I wasn't happy with that. So I think I was just going to pull the stitches out to redo this, because I already have the fabric cut for the other pieces that I'm going to do, or the other charts on here that I'm going to stitch, and then I still have a hunk of the fabric left. So yeah, I need to reevaluate the color, the floss colors, to maybe change that up, because I love this fabric. So yeah. So yeah, that border is going to be restitched somehow or some way. So when I get to it, we'll make that decision, but it will stay a WIP. Next up we have Henpeck from Plum Street, and I started this April 24th of 2019. And last year, I think in my WIP parade, this was actually a ditch. But I reconsidered. It's a cute chart. But I explained back then, I'm really picky about my reds and my blues, or just how colors interact with each other on a chart. And I'm not thrilled with the color choices I had made for this. I'm stitching it on, one of my floss is caught. Stitching it on 36 count macchiato. And these were the colors that I had pulled. I don't think I have changed them up yet. I don't know, I might have. I can't remember what I've done since then. I've not stitched anything further on it, but I think, you know, after I did my floss too, I was like, you know what, I'm stitching this. I'm going to stitch it, and I think I might have changed out my green. I don't know. These don't look too bad, and they may have been the colors that I had initially pulled. So I just need to get it stitched and call it done and be happy with it. So yeah, I haven't stitched on it at all since the last time. But it is back into my WIP count, so. As I'm going through these, I've noticed I have a lot of needles left in my projects, which I know isn't good because it can rust on your fabric, first of all. Second of all, I'm getting low on needles. So I need to go through and pull them out of my project so I can have some needles. Next up we have Dimensions Antique Shops. It's based on a Charles Wysocki painting, drawing. I don't know what his is considered. But this was definitely going to be a restart. I know I had determined that in my last Flosstube, or in my last WIP parade. I love this chart. I got it as a kit. And I started stitching this on, and I don't know, this isn't the fabric that came with the kit, I don't believe. It's an Ada. Oh, heck. It just says 18 count Ada, but I don't think it's 18 count Ada. I don't know. It's something that I'm not enjoying stitching on because my stitches are very dense. It's very painful to stitch on this. Hurt your fingers trying to push the needle through because it's, I'm using 2 strands of floss. So yeah, this is going to be restarted when I eventually get around to it, to focus on it, which isn't going to be anytime soon. But it'll get stitched, but not on this fabric, because it is horrible. Like, painful. Not going to go through pain to stitch something. Okay, next up, Watercolor Garden from Stitchy Fish Designs. I started this April 26th of 2019. This came from a Just Cross Stitch magazine, February of 2019. Is that not gorgeous? Oh my gosh. It's just beautiful. And it will not be finished into a pillow, because no one will get their hands on that. I'm not going to put that on a pillow. But oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I just love the bright colors. Let's see, I'm stitching this on 25 count even weave. It is, of course, DMC floss, and I'm stitching it 2/2. And since 25 count, it's not been too bad as far as, you know, thickness, and the fabric is soft, so it hasn't been too bad to stitch 2/2. And I know I'm off one somewhere, and so I'm kind of, it's so much confetti stitching. I think what I'm going to do is come up here, you know, get adjusted correctly on the edge, come up here, and then stitch down into this to get it correct, because I'm not going to, you know, try to fudge it all the way up into here. So I think if I go up just above it, you know, count up where I know I'm right, and then just stitch down into this part, it'll all get adjusted, and it'll just be off one down in here somewhere. So I've not stitched on this since my last WIP Parade, but it will definitely get stitched eventually. I was thinking I was thinking I had orientated my fabric wrong on something, and I thought this was it, but I guess not, because it looks correct. I don't know, it may be. We'll see. We'll figure it all out when I get back to it. Next up, I have A Walk in the Woods from the Cricket Collection. Started April 27th of 2019. A Walk in the Woods from the Cricket Collection. Cool chart. I've not stitched on this since my last WIP Parade. It is being stitched on, it looks like 36 count Legacy. Yep, 36 count Legacy. Not stitched on it anymore at all. So there's my progress. And you can see I just needed to get some color in there, so I stitch some purple in there. Next up we have Prairie Schooler, When Witches Go Riding. This was started April 29th of 2019. Almost done with early Stitch Mania starts. Goodness gracious. This is being stitched on 40 count macchiato from Luminous Fiber Arts. This is the chart. And just like the other Prairie Schooler, I'm eventually going to stitch the small one as well, but I focused on this one. When witches go riding and black cats are seen, the moon laughs and whispers, 'tis near Halloween. So cool. And I have gotten all of Prairie Schooler's Halloween charts. There's several of them. But Nell with Little Yellow House Crafts, oh my gosh. She did them all on the same color fabric, same count of fabric, so they're all, you know, the same size, and has framed them in their own frame, but they'll be displayed together. Oh my gosh, so freaking cool. I seen that on her video and immediately went out and I made a list of all the ones she had stitched. And so I went and I purchased all of them. I think I got them from, it was either Hobby House Needleworks or Hollis Hands Creates. So yeah, I don't think I have stitched on this year since my last WIP Parade. So that's all my progress. But look how tiny it is. That's the entire width. It's about, what, 5 inches, 6 inches? So yes, I guess I need to commit to getting a big old piece of 40 count macchiato from Misty, so they're all in the same fabric. So love the chart. It's just hasn't been priority, so it'll eventually get stitched. Okay, finally done with early Stitch Mania starts. Next up is a wedding gift that the chart I had bought off of Etsy. I started it May 2nd of 2019. This was going to be for a co-worker for her wedding back in 2019 that I never finished stitching. Sorry if you're watching this Flosstube. You'll get this one day as a, you know, whatever number anniversary it may be. But this was the chart from Etsy. And this is stitched on, it looks like a 32 count even weave, 28 count even weave from Hobby Lobby. So that's Mr. and Mrs. I guess I could give that to her. But that's my progress. It's really pretty. It's just, you know, squirrels. There's a lot of squirrels, especially in my neck of the woods. A little over 50 of them running around. Next up is Christmas Rules by Lizzie K. I love this chart. I started this July 1st of 2019. This would have been a Christmas in July start. Let's see, I'm stitching it on 36 count Heartland. Of course, each little chart has two, and I'm stitching it in the one big piece there. So cool. I think it was Cynthia Brew that finished this because she was stitching it. And I was like, oh, I got to get to working on that. And I did for a little bit. So yeah, 36 count Heartland. Let me double this over so you can see it a little better. Love this fabric, so pretty. And that's my progress. If I don't have the called floor, I just use whatever closest I have in my stash. So I got the top border done, working on the next one. They actually stitch up pretty quick. it's just another case of a squirrel must have jumped up into my lap. Then we have Seasons in Chalk Fall from Hands On Design. I started this one April 2nd of 2019. I'm stitching this on 32 count chalkboard. These are part of the series that was in magazines. And on my video I shared a couple days ago, the Seasons in Chalk Spring, actually that one right there, oops, there. It was in a magazine as well, because I think each of these were. But, sorry, this is printed on green paper. But that'll be what it looks like. That's really cool. But my, oh my, oh my. 32 count chalkboard. It will literally stand up on its own. And it's horrible when you're stitching in hand with this. Oh my gosh. But anywho, we'll see. I haven't made any progress since my last WIP Parade. So I didn't remember how stiff this was. I may, I don't know if soaking it in some water will help. I think I'm going to give that a try. It's worth a try. Because it's very stiff. But anyway, that's my progress. It'll get stitched. And we'll deal with fabric issues when we get to it. Okay. I've emptied my tub, so I'm gonna refill my tub and I'll be right back. Okay. Reloaded my basket here. Next up, we have Cranberry Christmas from Hands On Design. I started this October 31st of 2019. This is the chart. I love cranberries. And I like this chart. It calls for 32 count cocoa. And I started this chart. This was in my WIP Parade last year. Or, yeah, 2019. In August, I went through my charts and my WIPs, and on August 2nd, I decided to ditch this. I don't like it. This is 32 count cocoa. And I think this is supposed to be 32 count cocoa. But my cocoa is more brown. So I had put this chart into a stack of charts that I'm going to sell. And when I did, I was like, I really like that. So I have it down as a ditch. It's definitely being ditched as it is. It's just too drab for me on this fabric. So I have Confederate Gray and I have Tin Roof. And so I am going to maybe stitch a little bit of it on those fabrics or one of those fabrics and see if I like it better. If not, it's just going to stay as a ditch. So right now, it's a ditch with an asterisk beside it. It's pretty and I love cranberries. I don't know. I don't know why I'm not like, oh yes. But I think it's the fabric. I like this fabric, but I don't like this chart on this fabric. So right now it's a ditch. I may reconsider it in the future on a different fabric. Next up we have Waiting for Christmas from Sarah Gormani. I started this December 1st of 2019. This is a beautiful chart. Not the best picture because the picture's kind of faded. But, so pretty. I just love that scene. It's just gorgeous. I want to live in this little neighborhood, in this little town, with all the snow. It's so pretty. I am stitching this on, it looks like 32 count vintage country mocha. Oh no, it's not vintage country mocha. I bought this as a kit and this fabric came with the chart. I think it was the chart and this piece of fabric. So I think the fabric was 32 count vintage country mocha. Vintage country mocha is one of the fabrics that the modeling is printed on the fabric. I am not crazy about the look of the modeling on vintage country mocha. So I dunked this into a tea coffee dye and evidently some vanilla because I can smell it and cinnamon because I wanted to grunge it up. And I learned my lesson to never ever do that with cinnamon because you're not going to see a lot of it now because it's all falling out on my lap when I've stitched on it. So, yeah, don't use cinnamon grounds to try to grunge up your fabric. Plus, this fabric that it came up, it's stiff. It's almost to the point that it will stand up on its own. So, it's a little cumbersome to stitch on. I'm stitching it, I believe I'm doing 1/2. Yeah, I'm doing 1/2 except on the white. Any white, I am using 2/2 just so it stands up a little bit better. I have not worked on this since my last WIP parade. I love it. It's so cute. It stitches up pretty fast. You know, there's little quick, easy stitches so far. But yeah, I love this chart. It's definitely going to get stitched. And I'm just going to suffer through the stiffness of the fabric. Because it's a pretty big piece. It's going to be a pretty big chart. Oh, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's orientated wrong. But I hope it turns out that's because it should be wider. I hope. Oh my gosh. It's almost kind of square. Oh yeah, it's 278 by 263. So, there we go. There's my little start. It's a cool little chart. Not little chart, it's a cool chart. It's a huge chart. So yeah, I'm excited to get back to that. But it's really low on the totem pole. And I believe it's all just DMC flosses. There's just a lot of them. That's not too bad. Maybe 25 or so. Oh yeah, it has buttons. It came with the, looks like a birdhouse and a couple of stars that goes on the chart. Then we have Hibernation Day from Heartstring Sampleries. I started this December 14th of 2019. 2019 December was our 21-year wedding anniversary. And we went to New York City, in case you just recently started following me. We went to New York City last December for our 21-year anniversary. It was absolutely amazing. I just wish we had had more snow. It was cold, pretty cold. And we did have a brief, like a 5-minute all-out snowstorm, and then it was gone. So I started this because we left. We drove there from Indiana, and so we left December 14th. And so this is what I started to commemorate that Hibernation Day. Awesome chart. If you can't tell, I love Christmas and winter. This says, I love the snap of winter air and snowflakes on my face. How snowdrifts make the world disappear without a trace. I'll take a day dressed in pajamas in a room without a view. If I can spend the day curled up next to you, let's have a hibernation day, me and you. And we did that a lot in New York City, was just hibernate. It was awesome. We did go out and experience the city, but it was awesome. Just our hotel room was like on the corner, so of the 30-some floor. Oh gosh, we were like 30 or 40 floors up. It was high enough. It was a beautiful view of the city, and you could see the Hudson River, and so it was really cool. Anyway, I digress. This is being stitched on. It's a 36 count something. I'm looking for my project page. I hate when I get unorganized. Like, I don't know, where's my project card for this? I do not know. It's 36 count. It looks like Legacy. And for some reason, I like started way over here on this edge. Hello, like what was I thinking? I had like a 2-inch border, not centered at all. Not sure what I was thinking there. Anywho, double this over. Here we go. So I have stitched on this the past week. So I think I had stitched. I think I had gotten all of the deer and the center flower there done, and since my last WIP parade, I've stitched all the words down here, and I just stitched on that a few days ago. So yep, there's the progress so far. Definitely will be stitched. Next up is a Sweeter Love from Plum Street Samplers. Plum Street Samplers. I started this December 21st of 2019. December 21st is our actual anniversary. So I decided to start this in honor of our anniversary while we were in New York. It says, if I climbed the highest mountain or crossed all land and sea, I could never find a sweeter love than thou hast given me. Isn't that awesome? I just love that sentiment. So, oh yes, this calls for NPI silks. Well, this girl ain't stitching with silks on, well, I couldn't afford all the silks that it calls for, so I've used the DMC conversion that they had given. It's being stitched on, it's like a 36 count something parchment, 36 count parchment. And so this is my progress. I have not stitched on it since our trip. And I'm not loving it. I don't know. Looking at it now, it's like it's not as bad as I remember it. I just wasn't crazy about the colors thus far. There's actually 2 or 3 different colors in this flower, and you can't even tell it. Now maybe if it was the silks that it called for, you'd be able to tell it, but you can't really differentiate any different of the colors in there. So on August 2nd, oh no, I did not. I've been on the fence about it. I didn't officially ditch this. Well, let's just say it'll be stitched with an asterisk. We'll have to reconsider when I get back to it in my rotation. We'll have to see. And the color of the fabric looks really similar to the chart. So I don't know if it's the fabric that may be throwing it off, where it's a little more brown. This, I don't know. I guess this is a little more brown, as where this has more of a mottled. It looks maybe like a yellowish. Does it say? Oh, it was stitched on Vintage Light Exemplar, using 1 strand of silk over 2. And of course that's from Lakeside Linens, which apparently is nearly impossible to get anymore. So, and I remember going to my LNS looking for that specific fabric, and of course they didn't have any in stock. So I went with, I think, their next closest fabric. So as of right now, it's officially staying a WIP, but we'll put an asterisk beside it as well. Because I like the sentiment, so I'm thinking, oh, I think I told my husband, maybe I just won't stitch the border. Maybe I'll just stitch the, the meat of it and not stitch the border. But I know on a sampler, that's like a huge deal, is, the borders that are on them. So we'll see. Next up, Quaker Christmas 2 from Bygone Stitches. This was started on Christmas Day of 2019. Pam with Stitching Between the Lines. I have seen her, watched her stitching on this, and when she finished it, absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely loved it. I don't remember how long she said she had stitched on it. I remember her saying it was a while, because she actually commented on my Flosstube when I said I was going to stitch it. So yeah, it is a huge piece. Let me see. The stitch count is 240 by 350. It'll finish, I believe I'm stitching this on 36 count. So it'll finish at about 13 by 20. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I absolutely love this chart. And this obviously is a picture from someone that stitched it, and they quickly took a picture of it without ironing or anything. But yeah, I love this chart. The Quakers in it are just beautiful. And then all kinds of Christmas songs all throughout the stitch. So I am stitching mine on, I believe it's 36 count Fog. yes, 36 count fog. And I actually have been stitching on it this past week. Trisha, with 3/0 threads. I get my nest egg from her, and so she sent me, you just have to pick out a red and a green color. I don't remember what it had suggested as the flosses. See if I can find it real quick. It had used for the green, or for the red, General Arts Currant, and for the green, Blue Spruce from General Arts. I decided to use a Buckeye Scarlet. It's a beautiful bright red with some beautiful variegation. It's not really, there you can see the variegation in it. It's so pretty. And the green I decided on was English Ivy from Classic Colorworks. That's gorgeous. I love the fade from the light to dark green. So pretty. So that's my color choices. Last year in my WIP parade, I had only finished some of this motif here. So, and maybe the words, I don't know, I might have finished the words after the WIP parade, I'm not sure. But anywho, I finished this motif, and I'm currently working on this one, and finished these down here within the past week. I absolutely love stitching on this. I am stitching at 1/2. I love stitching on this fabric. The stitches are just beautiful. But there you can see it's a, you know, a light colored base with some very, you know, faint green modeling. It's so pretty. I just love it. I just keep looking at it when I'm stitching on it. I hold it back and look at it. Oh, it's so gorgeous. I cannot wait to get that done and in my home on the wall so I can admire it all the time. It will probably stay up all year round. Then we have, ooh, get to turn the page. Okay, on January, this was my last year's New Year, New Start. Full coverage, Heaven and Earth Designs, a real snow job. This is the chart. And I want to live in one of these little houses as well. I think I'll take this one. Actually, this must be a, it says family something. Yeah, these are actually, there's a clockmaker and a lamp store. Oh, this is a shoe store. Yeah, it says cobbler. But the little sign out here says something. I can't tell what that little sign says. Anywho, I would buy the store and change it into my home. But I absolutely love this. And let me grab, because the fabric what I'm stitching on is roller frames. Not actual roller frames, but an off-brand. Let me go grab it. Okay, so this is the roller frame. I got this off of Amazon. I think it was called American Dreams or something like that, because it has an A on here. I can't remember the exact brand name, but I always stitch in hand, so but I know with Heaven and Earth Designs that's more difficult to do. So I've bought this frame, This is 25 count easy grid. So there's 10 by 10 stitches in each of the little squares there. There's a method to the madness. Well, there's actually several methods to the madness when you stitch a Heaven and Earth designs. And there are some stitchers, that's pretty much all they stitch is Heaven and Earth. Amy with Amy Loves Toes, she has at least 2 going, and I think she was getting ready to start the 3rd, or she did start her 3rd Heaven and Earth design. And some people, that's their cup of tea, and I admire them because the charts are absolutely gorgeous. And I know when I started this, I remember saying, I just love this. I want to stitch it so bad. It's going to be so beautiful to stitch this up. But, you know, I could just buy the print. This is, oops. This is my progress from January 1st of 2020. It ain't my cup of tea. And it's not going to happen. This was officially ditched August 2nd of 2020. Has not been stitched on since, and it will never be stitched on again by me. That is for sure. I've already put my floss away. This was down in my basement because I didn't want to look at it anymore. I didn't want it to take up space up here. And so I got on eBay. I got on eBay the other day because I just love this. So I was like, wow, I need to just see if the print's for sale. And there is, and whew, expensive. This is an original drawing by Jane Rooster Scott, right, Jane? Yes, Jane Rooster Scott. Yeah, I'm not an artsy person, so I don't know all the, you know, I know Charles Wysocki now from Cross Stitch. Now I know Jane Rooster Scott from Cross Stitch. So getting on eBay and looking up this print, holy schmoly, I love Jane Rooster Scott prints. And she has some stunning prints. On eBay, there was only one, a real snow job. I have not pulled the trigger on it yet because it was like $170, I think. I put it on my list as a gift idea for my husband. I guess the soonest one would be Valentine's Day, I guess. But I want this print, and after I've seen her other prints, I want a ton of her other prints as well. So Jane Rooster Scott is, love her. So I will have this, but it will be in print form, not cross stitch form. It is ditched, and it is official. I am not a Heaven and Earth design stitcher. Not gonna happen. So, ditched. Next, we have the tip tracker, Carolyn Manning Designs. I don't even know where the chart is, if that tells you anything. It was a temp tracker. You go in and you know, keep a log of what you can do it as that day's high temperature, that day's average temperature, that day's low temperature. There were several different ways people were doing it. I started recording the daily high temperature for my city, and based on a 5-degree temperature range, there was a little chart that you would stitch in specific colors for that temperature. So I went back and forth on what fabric I was going to stitch it on, and it's pretty cumbersome. So I think what I was doing is, like, every Saturday or Sunday I would go back and stitch the week's worth of temperatures. And this is as far as I got. So this started, I think this would have been January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and then January 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, so on and so forth. So I got through first week or 2 of February. So yeah, this was ditched. It just got to be having to, you know, get your temperature, which chart you were, or which little pattern you were going to stitch for that temperature. You can see, you know, this was similar. So I had my chart and would plug in the day temperatures. That way, if I had other days close, I could go ahead and stitch in. It was just a lot of thread changes. It was a lot of work just to do these little diamonds. And I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. It's like, yeah, it's just little diamonds. But then, oh my gosh, so many floss changes and whew. So that's where I got to, and it's done, officially abandoned. It was obviously abandoned back in February, but officially abandoned August 2nd of 2020. Done. Out of here. I will salvage the fabric, but it's done. Okay, then on April 1st of 2020, I started this chart that I'd had in my stash for a while. Love this chart. One Nation by Bygone Stitches. I don't remember who I initially seen stitch this, but it was fabulous. So yeah, each state as they joined the Union. It called for Cupid, Crescent Colors, Cupid for the red, Blacksmith Blue for the blue, Antique Lace for the white. I went with I did go with Cupid for my red. Is that not gorgeous? Whoops. That variegation is, oh, I love it. Love it. And my blue, I went with Gentle Arts Midnight. Isn't that gorgeous? I just love floss that goes from such a deep hue of that color to the lighter. It's so gorgeous. Just love that variation. And for the white, I think I initially started using ecru, but switched to 3865 so you could see it better on my fabric, because the fabric I went with, I just dropped my project card. 36 count Heartland is what I started this on. So there's a good representation of fabric color. And this is my progress so far. And you can see that I started stitching the state name, and you can't really see it. So I have stitched it 1/2, but that white is, it's going to have to be 2/2, and that's what I do frequently for whites, just so they stand out better. They just don't stand out that well when you're stitching 1/2, so it'll be switched to 2/2, using the 3865. So that is my progress though so far. So pretty. So I think, yeah, that is the entire width. That is the end of that one. So that'll be the whole width of it. Love that chart. Okay. Oops. dropping everything. It's on my list. I have to get 10 or 15 more skeins or the 3865. And of course, with everyone stitching, everyone's getting 3865, and so there's really not much in stock anywhere, at least not in my local stores. So it'll be a while before I actually get to it and need much of it, so I'll just patiently wait and just be on the lookout. Okay, next we have on April 12th of 2020, I started Heartstring Sampleries, His Eyes on the Sparrow. I hadn't got the chart yet, but you know, seen everybody stitching it, and when she came out with the book at Market this year, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger and buy this chart. I had seen Lynette homesteading on the home front. She had finished it, stunning, gorgeous. Of course, everyone else stitching it. So, you know, FOMO, can't miss stitching this because everybody else is stitching it. So I got me a piece of 36 count doubloon, which this is what it calls for, right? Yes, doubloon, and that's what I have. And I started stitching it. This is my progress. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I think I started stitching it because everybody's stitching it. Everybody's stitching it, so you gotta stitch it, right? I don't have anywhere to put it in my home. I'm just not crazy about this chart as far as stitching it and having it. It is a huge chart. It's going to take a lot of time, and I have lots of other charts that I'm super excited about and want to get stitched and put in my home. So August 2nd of 2020, this was ditched. I'm not stitching it. Not gonna happen. I already cut a chunk out for another piece, so it is ditched. It is officially ditched, and I'm okay with it. That's something I have noticed about myself. I see somebody stitching it. Oh, I gotta buy the chart. They bought the chart. Oh, I gotta buy the chart. I've learned to step back and say, okay, it is a beautiful chart. Do I want that in my home? Because that's why I'm stitching it, because I want this in my home. I want these pieces displayed in my home, or I'm stitching it for a specific person to give as a gift. That's why I'm stitching. I'm not stitching to put it away in a box, say, yep, I stitched it, it's done. No, I want it in my home. So if I'm not going to hang it in my home, I don't need to buy the chart. I don't need to stitch it. You stitch it because you like it and because it goes in with my decor. So I just halted it right there. I'm like, yes, it's beautiful, but I'm not feeling it. I don't need this in my home. It's beautiful, and it's an amazing chart, and it's beautiful seeing other people stitch it, but that doesn't mean I have to have it, and that doesn't mean I have to stitch it. So this is ditched, and I'm okay with it. Then we have on April 24th of 2020, Jennifer Ketterman and who else? There's actually several joined in. Started a stitch along. It was Arbor Day of 2020. I guess I had seen other people stitch it, and so this chart was already on my radar because I don't think I had bought it until Jennifer had mentioned it, that they were going to do it, and I think that's when I bought it. I looked it up and bought it. I don't think I had it in my stash before then. I could be wrong, but anyway. And a Forest Grew by Rosewood Manor, another huge chart. It is 420 by 200. And like I said, there's been several people join in on the stitch along. And it says, "And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil." And there's also another one that says, "He that plants trees loves others besides himself." So I joined in on this stitch along, and until you get the chart and realize, oh, the intensity of this, I'm stitching this on 36 count Heartland. It calls for, it was like 99 or 102, or it's right around 100 flosses that this bad boy calls for, and I've got pretty much all of them. Isn't that loveliness? Got pretty much all of them here. I think there was a handful that I didn't have, so I will, in a future Flosstube, go over my floss organization. I know it doesn't look very lovely right now, but I probably need to go through this because I have some charts I'm working on now that I don't have DMC for, so that's probably here. Anyway, I'll show you my progress since we're going on 2 hours now on this video. So this is 36 count Heartland. It's getting washed out a bit. So there we go. It's a warmer brown. There we go. But I thought this looked like dirt. There's my progress. And this is similar as far as a bunch of different little motifs, like his eyes on the sparrow. But this is all trees. You know, we have a large forest on our farm, and we're hunters, so I really like this. This is more appropriate for my home rather than the other chart, so yeah, we'll just be plugging along on this one. Eventually, I'll get into like doing 2 or 3 trees a day or something so we can knock this out. But right now, it is really low on the totem pole. Okay, we're getting there, guys. We're almost there. Whoops. I gotta throw my chart back in there. That was one of the things when I did my Flosstube a couple days ago. Oh boy, was I out of practice. Forgot about the holy big mess afterwards that you have to go through and clean up in your studio. All the prep beforehand, because there were several things I'm like, oh, I forgot to grab that. Oh, I forgot to make note and tell them about this or that. But we'll catch up on all of that on my next Flosstube. But wow. The mess doing a Flosstube makes. It looked like a tornado had went through. Next we have on May 2nd of 20. You know, the last few charts I had showed you was pretty big charts. And so I was to the point of like, I need to stitch on something small. So I decided to start on May 2nd, the Quilting Bee from the Blue Flower. Oops. This lovely, gorgeous piece. This is the stitch piece, not all of this. This is just how they finished it. It's just right inside here. That's the chart. I am stitching this on 36 count Macchiato, Harvest Moon. No. This is 36 count toasted coconut from Color and Cotton. I didn't have everything that it called for, but I tried to match as closely to the chart as possible. And here is my progress thus far. Bone out just a touch. There we go. So yeah, that's my progress. I'm really enjoying stitching on this. I'm not totally crazy about the color combination, but I'm stitching it anyway. Next we have on May 8th of 20, I started the mason jar lineup from Dimensions. I had seen Amy with Amy Love Toads stitch this. She didn't stitch the whole length. She had maybe like 2/3 of it. This is the chart. I forget. She might have had like there over or something. And it was gorgeous. But yeah, I had watched her progress and then her finish on it, and I was like, oh my gosh. You can get this on Amazon. That's where I got mine. I think it was like $18. I put stuff in my cart and then save for later, and the price changes. I don't know if y'all have noticed that, but you throw it in your cart and leave it there for a week or two, and the price will drop, and then it'll go back way back up, and then it'll drop. So I think it was about $18 when I pulled the trigger on it. I think it's absolutely stunning. Love this chart. Oh, look at the colors. I mean, just looking at the colors is, oh, it's so gorgeous. So pretty. And this is the floss that comes with it. This isn't DMC. Well, I don't know. It's probably DMC, and they colored it or coated it. I don't know. Anywho, this is the floss that came with the kit. And I am stitching this on, I think it came with Ada, but I'm stitching this on a 28 count even weave, it looks like. I think so. I can't find my project card again. Here's my progress. It is just white fabric. There's no modeling or coloring to it. Just the one jar is so pretty. You can see I think I did all the back stitch in these daisies. Sorry, let me get a drink. 2 hours talking. Woo-wee. So yeah, I wanted to back stitch to see the detail pop out of those flowers. Oh my gosh, is that not gorgeous? Absolutely love this. I just love the soft bright colors in this chart. So even the glass jars are so pretty. So there we are with that one. Then we have we're down to less than 10, guys. May 16th of 20, I started Betsy's Stockings from Plum Street Samplers. The chart comes with these 3 patterns. I will be stitching all 3. Such cute little stockings. I don't think, yeah, I didn't have all of the call for, so I got as close as possible. And I'm stitching this on 40 count Confederate gray. So they're going to be nice and tiny. I did get the one done. And so I moved on to the next. Isn't that so pretty? I'm almost done with that one as well. And then I'll stitch the third one there and get those finished into stockings. So pretty. Then we have on May 25th of 2020, I started Lady of the Flag by Mirabilia. And what did I do with her? Because she was another one that wasn't in her own little project bag. Okay, hold please, I gotta go grab her. She was actually right beside me, just stuck under a stack of stuff. Okay, Mirabilia, Lady of the Flag. Absolutely stunning. Stunning. I was able to snag my copy off of eBay. It came with fabric, and I think it came with some flosses. I can't remember. Anywho, I switched my fabric up. I have all the DMC flosses here. It's amazing all the different colors that go into that chart, but nonetheless, that's pretty much all of the flosses here. I think there was maybe a few I didn't have. But I had seen this fabric and knew when I got around to stitching her, I wanted to stitch it on the Constitution fabric. So I got this, I think I've got mine off from Hobby House Needleworks, I think is where I found this fabric. And so I absolutely love this. I usually start on top one of the sides. But in order to get this placed correctly on this fabric, I started down here in the center. Oops. I believe this is 32 count fabric that I have started her on. But anyway, there's the progress thus far. And no, the stitches isn't so thin that you're seeing the fabric through there. It's just there's no stitches in there yet. So the coverage is great. So not a lot of progress on this yet, but it is a start, and I cannot wait to get back to this. I can't wait to get this finished because it is just, it's stunning and just means so much. So there's my progress so far on that. Woo-wee. Next, we have on October 2nd, October 2nd of 20, Miss Stephanie Webb with Lindy Stitches released this freaking awesome chart, and they started a stitch along with it, for it, whatever, and water was spilt on my chart, so it is a bit wrinkly. Dracula's Confession, and people were doing a read along, stitch along. I bought the Dracula book, and so when you buy the chart, you get both of these options. I am stitching the top option here. So cool. It says, I love the shade and the shadow, and would be alone with my thoughts when I may. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Have not read the book, I've started reading it, but it's not done. And the stitching's not done. So I am stitching it on the 40 count Murky. Isn't this gorgeous? Oh, it's so gorgeous. So freaking gorgeous. I love this. And it's stitching up quite quick. I don't know how long I actually stitched on it. A few days, I'm sure. But I didn't have everything was called for, so I went through and got as close as I could. But the red I decided to use, I think it's called Dracula. Yeah, it's called Dracula from Color and Cotton. I thought, how freaking appropriate. So that is what the words are being stitched in. So, yep, there's my progress. I'm loving this little stitch. Then we're down to the last 5. Let's see, my birthday, November 21st of 20. I started, hecky darn. Gotta find the chart, just a second. I love this chart from the very first time I seen it. I don't remember when it was that I first seen it. I'm like, I've got to get this chart. Autumn Bouquet from Blackbird Designs. Absolutely stunning. Just the simplicity. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. So I decided that was going to be my birthday start. And it is currently my work car project. So, started it, 7 weeks ago? And here's my progress. This is, hold please. 36 count doubloon. Ha! This was the chunk of fabric I cut out of his eyes on the sparrow. So 36 count doubloon. Isn't that gorgeous? And it stitches so quick. That's what I love about it. It's stitching up really quick. I didn't have all that called for, but I used extremely similar. So yeah, love this stitch. I get lots of progress done. Oh my gosh, if y'all could see my floor. It's bad. Next, November 26th, this was my Thanksgiving Day start, is Rest and Be Thankful from the Cricket collection. I had seen Misty Purcell stitch this, and I know when she got it done, she was so glad she was done with it. But wow, I thought it was so beautiful. So I bought the chart. I'm doing this one right now, Rest and Be Thankful. I just love that. I am not going to stitch this top border. To me, it's not really necessary. Not sure why it's there, but anywho, I am not going to stitch that top border. And I'm eventually going to stitch that because I love pumpkin pie. I am stitching this on 30 count Weeks Dye Work straw. And this is stitched, of course, in DMCs. Lots and lots of colors here. So pretty. So pretty. And this, make sure I got it right side up. Yep. So 30 count straw. This is my progress. This is just, I don't know, a couple days worth. Ooh, there's the color I got right. pretty. Then we have December 1st. You can see I do several starts, starting on my birthday, then Thanksgiving, then December 1st, then anniversary, and then Christmas Day. Let's see, our next one is December 1st. It is Enchanted Ornament Stocking from Dimensions. I had got this kit off of eBay. No heck. Let me grab the picture just a second. So I bought the kit off of eBay. It came with all the floss, and it actually came with this probably came with the kit comes with 16 count Ada, but the person I have purchased it from had switched out the fabric to, you can see the fabric is a blue. They had switched it out to 28 count. .28 counts Weigart Ice Blue Brittany Lugana. So it came with it. I bought it like that with all the floss. So there is my progress. That's only a couple days worth of stitching. You know, dimensions. It's pretty confetti heavy. So, but wow, it's going to be so pretty. A whole big piece there. So yeah, love it. I want to get us all the stocking for Christmas time. I have a couple of shepherd's bush and a drawn thread stocking that I have. So that was my December 1st start. Oh my gosh, it's gonna take me an hour just to clean this up. Last two. My anniversary start, December 21st of 20, just a couple weeks ago. This was, I think this was a newer release, and I had seen several people stitch it. Let me grab the color copy of the chart. Plum Street Sampler, Sweetheart Hill. Several people I've seen stitch this. I belong with you. I figured that was appropriate for our anniversary. However, I'm stitching the words on here, but I will not be filling in all that white. Not happening. Wow, look at that house. So pretty. Oops, sorry, bumping you guys. I am stitching this on 36 count purely primitive from Silk Weaver. This is, I didn't have all the called for. I converted to the closest that I had in my stash. Let me put the fabric behind. There we go. Look at that. So pretty. It's stitching up fast. This is like a couple days worth of stitching. I'm wanting to get down here to the house. So yeah, just stitching the roof, it's like, oh my gosh. So I heard some other floss tubers mention they'll do like a strand or two on like all the solid color stitching. Do a strand or two when they first start, and then do some, you know, over here, just so it doesn't get so monotonous that you get burnt out on it. So yeah, that's my progress there. Last one, guys. Last one. It, of course, is my Christmas Day start. And it is a beautiful newer release from Blackbird Designs. early Christmas morning. I'm stitching this on 36 count Winter's Brew. Early Christmas morning from Blackbird Designs. Is that not stunning? Ugh, I just think that's gorgeous. So yeah, 36 count Winter's Brew. I started this on Christmas Day. And here is my progress. I did not have all the exact called for colors. I pulled whatever I had the closest. Isn't that pretty? I just love those colors. So gorgeous. But yeah, stitching it really quick. So pretty. That was the last one. So, I believe I said 52, and then as I went through, I'm like, this is officially ditched, or it's not officially ditched. So I know there's a couple asterisks. Anywho, I have at least 50. So I hope you enjoyed that. I need to rest my voice because it's getting quite raspy after talking for 2.5 hours. I know it was long. I hope you did enjoy it, and should have a regular floss tube with some, just quicker updates coming out in the next week or two, so be on the lookout. I've had such great reception just after my first floss tube a couple days ago. I thank you guys so much. People always say this, the community here is amazing, and it is. I love all you guys. Thank you so much for your support, and just let me know you're glad to see me back. It means the world to me. So until next week or so, I hope you have a great stitchy time. I know there's a lot of stitching going on this weekend, so I'll see you soon. Bye.